So you mentioned POS terminal.
Yeah.
I'd just like us to quickly thrash that, because some people believe that, okay, fine, we have a lot of POS terminals,
right.
People having access to cash easily, instead of having to go to the ATMs.
Right.
But others are of the opinion that it's not really helping our currency, because just like some people are selling Naira to get Naira because of the gains that is recorded from it. Because it's supposed to be point of sale. I want to buy something, then I pay using the POS terminal. How do you see it? Do you feel it's a good thing that happened to Nigeria, or is something that is also affecting our currency?
I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's really affecting our currency. The reason why I say that is people need cash to be able to carry out transactions. If you're looking at, and POS and the likes of other terminals, they really function based on what is provided by the government. So it's not a POS terminal problem. It's more of a policy problem. Look at 2023 when we had the change of currency. There was no way to carry out transactions. People had to rely on POS terminals. It's not as though the banks were giving out cash in excess, right? So it's what they get that they give. That's the issue. But the goal here is even to move towards a cashless transaction state. So the POS are coming in hand in that way, helping us to even remediate the fact that there's not enough cash to go around for all the things that we're doing. Nigerians are affluent shoppers. There are a lot of businesses. We need cash to move as quick as possible. When you start looking at conversion rate, moving currencies to a different country, doing international transactions and all of those things, there are a lot of suppliers. What's the hope of a petty trader that doesn't have access to cash, right? So, and not every petty trader can go into the bank and all of those things. The time and all of those things.
Those are the critical issues that we need to even look at when we're talking about financial inclusion. When you tell an average petty trader, like you mentioned, that, okay, the government has been talking about this cashless policy for quite a while now, but it seems like we move forward and then we go backward. A lot of people still are not understanding what this cashless policy is about, which speaks to the matter of education, how educated Nigerians are with the essence to have a cashless policy and to also buy into the idea that government is speaking to. How far have we come with that, educating Nigerians, and as well as the petty traders, this other economies that really help build our economy as we speak to the informal economy that help build the economy at the end of the day?
I don't think we've done enough education, to be honest. As with anything new, there are going to be early adopters. There are going to be people that are going to resist the change. People are more comfortable with what they're familiar with.
Absolutely.
So you're telling a petty trader to move to digital bank. One, she doesn't even have a phone. She's not connected to the internet. There's not enough infrastructure to support the cashless policies that we're talking about. So do we have enough support to sort of move into what we're trying to move into? Because if there's no infrastructure, if the policies that supports this are not put in place, it's going to end up in a total failure. We've seen things like that play out with subsidy, change of currencies, new notes, and all of those things. If policies that support these things are not put in place, then the action itself might be good, the intentions might be good, but the results will not be good.
We do not have the policies? Is that what you're saying?
So when I say the policies and the infrastructure, if you have a petty trader, what is our hope in terms of moving to a cashless policy? Does she have a POS terminal? Is she educated on how to use the USSD codes? How often can she go to the banks and all of those things? How is she connected to the financial world, right? So we need to properly make sure that there is enough infrastructure to support what we're trying to do. Then we need to educate people that are resistant to it. They have serious concerns.
Absolutely.
There's security. If I have my cash at hand, I have control over it. So I know my money is safe. So how do we educate people that you having your cash at hand doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's safe? It's not fighting against inflation and all of those things. So those are areas that we need to look into. And also from the government side, I think the government is doing a good job. I was reading recently the NIBS system. They introduced the Open API system, which is basically bringing all the banks together for interconnection and all of those things. So we're gradually getting there, but these things don't happen overnight.
I do not know. I would like you to speak to how fintechs are actually revolutionizing our banking sector, especially with the fact that the SMEs and then the petty traders are actually keying into it because of the drive that the fintechs are actually moving towards, selling their products to them. But I do not know how some companies are actually relating with them, because I had an issue with one of the e-commerce platforms that we have in Nigeria, and I requested for refund. They said, okay, we're going to refund your money, but they listed some of the names of the fintechs. They said, okay, I should give them a name of an account of a conventional bank, but not the fintech. So they listed the names. So how do you feel fintech has been, performing in Nigerian, transactional policies and milieu that we have?
I think fintechs are doing great in Nigeria. There's a lot of room for us to even do better, but we're doing great. Nigeria controls about 80%. Well, let me say 5 out of the 80% fintech companies are in Nigeria, and that's a good number in terms of those that are doing it globally. So Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, Angola, Kenya, I think about 2 other are really controlling the space in the fintech space. Nigeria right now is the leading payment company, digital payment company in Africa, number 6 in the world. So we're doing great. In 2023 alone, like I mentioned, there was over $500 billion in cashless transactions, real-time transactions, right? But the thing is, fintechs, I think we need to educate ourselves as to what fintechs really are. Fintechs are not necessarily banks. For example, Race is not a bank or a service. So we're built on top of traditional banks, right? What we're bringing is efficiency, speed, convenience, lower transaction fees, and all of those things, right? So in a case where you're asking for a refund and they listed other banks, not the fintechs, it's probably because the fintech you're interacting with is not necessarily a bank. They're a service.
Even though the transaction was made, I paid for that transaction or for that product using the fintech, but they didn't want to return my money using the fintech.
Yes, so I'm guessing what you had was sort of like a custodial account, right? And to break it down, what it means is the fintech is representing in front of a bank. The fintech has partnerships with a bank, and they're representing that this is our customer. So open an account for this customer. All the money still sits with the bank, but they are your representatives. Right. So if the money is going to go back through the NIPS system, which is the Nigerian interbanking system, it has to go through a bank that is recognized by NIPS, which is the traditional banks. And I'm guessing that is why your refund could not be directly into your fintech account, but it will most likely go to the traditional banks. Then there's going to be a ledger balancing, and the balance will reflect in your system.
Right.